we're bringing back Getting to Know You. We did it leading up to the Olympics, and we highlighted some big U.S. women's national team players. But now we're broadening that, and we're going to do Getting to Know the U.S. U-20 Youth Women's National Team. Let's start with that, because that U-20 Women's World Cup tournament is happening right now, Sandra, in Cali, Colombia. We've touched on it a little bit on this show, but we are headed into the semifinals, and that is tonight. The U-20 U.S. Youth Nationals team will play against North Korea in the semifinals. But how did they get here? What led us to this point in the season? The team is led by 8 NWSL players, including Ali Sentnor, who was the #1 draft pick in the 2024 NWSL draft and the final ever NWSL draft out of UNC, and she went to the Utah Royals. But let's start at the top. I'm going to start with the manager, Tracy Kevins, who has done an absolutely fantastic job with this group. She joined U.S. Soccer back in 2017. She was the head coach of the U15 side, and then she was with the U17s in 2019. She also had a stint in the NWSL as an assistant coach with Seattle, and she was also the technical director of the Reign Academy. But Kevins is from England, where she started coaching, and she was internationally coaching in England with the England youth national teams. But let's run through this roster, Sandra. We always start in the back with the goalkeepers. You want to run us through the goalkeepers of this incredible team right now?
I love it. Let's run it through the back. Yeah, shout out to Tegan Y, University of California, Berkeley. She's typically the starter. Mackenzie Gress and Carolyn Burkle. Both of those repping Penn State and Stanford. Shout out to the goalkeepers holding it down in the World Cup.
Absolutely. These goalkeepers have been fantastic. Tegan Y out of Cal Berkeley, she's played every single minute of this Women's World Cup. She was also on the 2022 U-20 Women's World Cup roster in Costa Rica, with Ali Sentnor. Defenders, I'm running them through for you. Giselle Thompson out of Angel City, Savvy King out of Bay FC, Jordan Bug out of Seattle Reign, Elise Evans from Stanford, Leah Klenke from Notre Dame, and Heather Gilchrist out of FSU, Florida State. Hit us with the midfielders.
We're getting into these the names that folks are getting familiar with. Some of these NWSL representing type of players. Shout out to Claire Hutton, Casey Current, Ellie Lemos, Orlando Pride, Taylor Suarez out of Florida State, Riley Jackson with NC Courage, Una Carol McCormick out of Virginia, and Edison Halpern out of Virginia.
Forwards for this U-20 group: Gianna Riley from Florida State, Jordan Dudley from Florida State as well, Ali Sentnor with the Utah Royals, Emery Adamas, Seattle Reign, Madeline Grace Deline, UNC, and Pietra Torden out of Princeton. Before we kind of get to this whole how they got there in this specific World Cup tournament, I just want to give a shout out to Pietra Torden out of Princeton, because I called her games. I used to call games in the Ivy League, and I did a lot of Princeton games. So that's Madison Curry, who is the defender for Angel City right now, and Torden, who currently leads this World Cup right now with 4 goals. She leads the U.S. with 4 goals in this U-20 Women's World Cup. But in 2022, she was the Rookie of the Year in the Ivy League. She was second team All-Ivy. She's got this Brazilian heritage, and she is a pure striker, Sandra. It's no wonder she's leading this U.S. team right now. But her identity is all about scoring, and she does it in really interesting ways, because she's fast. She's so quick. She can get in behind, but she doesn't like to do that. She wants to be on the ball. She's got a really good Brazilian flair to her. So she checks back underneath. She wants the ball at her feet, and then she can create going forward. And that's what we've seen a lot from this side and from Pietra Torden. In this U-20 Women's World Cup, the U.S. finished second in their Group C. They had 2 wins, 1 loss, 6 points, just behind Spain, who topped Group C. Round of 16, Sandra. This one was a tough one, because the U.S. defeated Mexico 3-2 in a stoppage time game-winning goal from Jordan Dudley in the 97th minute. And that's not the only time that Jordan Dudley has come in absolutely clutch for this U-20 team. The quarterfinals, you talked about it on Monday being your moment of the weekend, but it was incredible, an improbable, a dramatic, memorable game and win for the U.S. in history, right? This one goes down. It was the U.S. against Germany. The U.S. go down 1-0 in regulation on a penalty kick. So fast forward to the 90th minute. We get 8 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this one. 2 minutes into stoppage time, Germany doubled their lead. It's now 2-0. 8th and final minute of stoppage time, Jordan Dudley scores. So now the U.S. is crawling back 2-1. 1 minute later, 90 seconds later, across from Maddie Deline into Ali Setnor, who just duts in front of the defender, in front of the goalkeeper, and she scores a goal. 2-2, sends it into extra time. No goals in extra time. It goes into penalties. Goals from Ali Setnor, Riley Jackson, and Leah Klenke all put it away for the U.S. Tegan Y with a huge save in goal to give a U.S. 3-1 quarterfinal win over Germany on penalties. And the U.S. advanced to the semifinal for the first time for the U-20s since 2016 because of 2 stoppage time goals in under
It's
90
incredible.
seconds, Sandra. It was awesome.
I had to go with that quarterfinal with my moment of the weekend. It was incredible. Shout out to Dudley. That's what I'm going to be calling her from now on. 2 back-to-back goals that were just so impactful at the death for this team. And these are the players I think that you and I were excited to maybe come on here and kind of acknowledge and show a little bit of love to, because as we were running down that roster of this team, we already have like a handful of players, let's just say several, not even a handful, several of these players who are kind of cutting their chops already in NWSL. We have seen some of them get starting minutes, kind of be a mainstay in regular starting 11s throughout this regular season. Some of them are options off the bench and still developing their games. But there are players who are representing some massive collegiate programs on this international stage as well. Dudley is one of them. So shout out to the Florida State kids there. Looking at the midfielders out of Virginia with McCormick and Halpern as well. So it feels special right now what this team is doing. I mean, it's tough to do that once in an elimination knockout, but to do it again in a quarterfinal and kind of just keep dancing all the way through the elimination round, I think is very, very special. And you saying that this isn't something that's happened since 2016, I think is, in the back of everyone's mind a little bit, because this program at one point did kind of raise the bar and elevate the standard as far as, winning the whole darn thing, whether it was in 2008 or in 2012. And ever since those years, there's been some disappointment, right? We to put it lightly. So hopefully they continue to ride the good vibes and continue to kind of surprise their opponents a little bit along the way.
Absolutely. SD Miller with us live on YouTube saying Emma's job is going to get harder and harder. It's ridiculous to have just so many choices coming up. Absolutely. When you look at this U20 group and how much depth they have, and then you talked about where they come from. There's a handful of Stanford representatives, 4 from Florida State. Obviously, the 8 that are currently playing professional in the NWSL, which adds such a great mix of talent, individual skill, and experience onto this U20 roster that, frankly, could be the right ingredients and the mix to go all the way, Sandra. So U.S. advance over Germany in penalties 3-1 to the semifinal. That match is tonight. This evening, the semifinal match for the U.S. against North Korea. It kicks off at 5:30 p.m. Eastern from Estadio Olímpico Pascual Guerrero in Cali, Colombia. You can watch it on FS2 and Telemundo Digital. The other semifinal is Japan versus Netherlands. Now, when we look at U.S. North Korea, throughout this run, in this World Cup, Sandra, U.S. have scored 14 goals and they've conceded 5. North Korea, they've conceded only 4 and they've scored 23 goals. Absolutely insane. It's going to be a tough task for this U.S. side tonight. At goal predictions, what do you expect to see from U.S. against North Korea?
We've seen some wild score lines for the U.S. team now over the course of 2 knockout round games. I hope this one's a little bit different. And it might be a little bit difficult because you've got a team that they're going up against where maybe there's not a lot of film to go off of on them. They're just going to be operating maybe with what they've seen throughout the duration of this World Cup. It's going to take a lot of preparation. It's going to take a lot of lock-in. And I think it's going to take a lot of adaptability. They're going to have to really maybe kind of show off their football IQ, because maybe they might have to make some in-game adjustments depending on what North Korea is presenting to them. So yeah, fingers crossed. I hope maybe this one's going to be narrow. I'll maybe go a 2-1 or a 1-0.
I have to ask this because it's this U-20 team. In regulation, do we get those goals?
No, let's keep it on theme. I love a theme. Extra time.
Extra time. I love it. Even like the stoppage time, added time. The one thing about this US U-20 youth national team is you cannot count them out. With 90 seconds left in the quarters, they still get it done and force extra time. We took a poll on YouTube for everyone joining us live. 94% say that the U.S. is going to win. North Korea only getting 6% of the votes with us live on YouTube. If you want to vote in our next segment, next Wednesday, join us live, youtube.com/attacking3rd, 11 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday. This is a big match. I'm going to go U.S. as well. I think it's going to be really narrow. I'm going to go 1-1. I think they'll force it into extra time, and then the U.S. gets it done in extra time. They don't go to penalties, but it's going to be really hard. This North Korean side, they have conceded, but they just rack up goals in such a variety of ways. They have so many different goal scorers. And for the U.S., it's Pietra Torden. She leads the team with 4 goals. And Emery Adamas, who plays with Seattle Reign under Laura Harvey, she leads the team with 4 assists. Tegan Wye, the goalkeeper who's played every single minute for the U.S., she has 49 goals prevented in this tournament. So she is not afraid to come off her line, be fearless, get in the mix. Good luck. U.S. U-20 Youth Women's National Team. They play in the semifinal of the U-20 Women's World Cup tonight, 5:30 p.m. against North Korea. Watch it. Cheer on those girls, because before you know it, they're going to be on the full senior national team under Emma Hayes, making decisions that much harder at the international level. I love it. Go USA all the way.